Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and I've got a massive report that I want to share with you. This one specifically in regards to the economy. As you know, we have a lot of instabilities. A lot of things are being brought up by those in the banking system, by information from the IMF. We have all kinds of major people talking about the instabilities in the market. The Dow is going crazy, the stock is going crazy, and as of late, I even have an article, and I'll throw it up on the screen real quick. This is from CNBC, and it's titled JP Morgan co-president warns of deep correction for stocks totaling as much as 40% over the next few years. Now, this was just put out March 2018, brand new article. So to give us some insights, I thought who better to bring on than Noble Gold president Colin Plume, who's with me today to talk about that article in specific and where we could be headed. Again, this is why I have partnered with noblegoldinvestments.com. I have links below on that. I encourage you guys to check that out. The economy is not a stable place, and you can convert your 401ks and all of that. But Colin, are you with me over there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was that article was I think him quoting that, it makes you a little nervous having your money there invested with him. If he believes the economy is going to pull back 40%, he's probably downplaying it. If you really think about it, he's on the side of stocks, mutual funds, bonds, retirement accounts. The last thing he wants people to do is move out, but he must believe that there's some correction happening in the future. So
what does that look like for the average American citizen? When he makes a bold statement like that, what does that mean for America?
Well, I think that what it does is that it says it in the article that they need to be prepared, JP Morgan, which means that they need to protect their assets as a whole, as a company. And it reminds everybody of what happened in 2008. Everybody remembers in 2008, all the big banks had problems. They were over leveraged. They had derivatives and that whole market that put them in jeopardy. But I think the biggest thing that people today, when they're looking at their finances, is are they diversified? And I think most people aren't. When you look at the average portfolio, most people are 95% in the stock market with their retirement savings, or maybe they have some kind of pension, which is typically in the stock market, or they have Social Security. So these are all assets that are volatile. They're all assets that people could lose overnight. And I know that people that remember 2008, they remember how quickly it happened. And if they weren't prepared in other assets, precious metals, real estate, if they didn't have other assets, 2009, 10, 11, 12 were really bare years. And I think that's why you have to prepare for these things. And if he's saying that there's going to be a 40% pullback, it's probably going to be worse.
Yeah, that's a huge pullback, and for him to even admit it. But here's the thing: I know they play the games, but all kinds of things. Specifically, who was it? Rockefeller, I believe it was, that was pulling his money out of the American markets. We know some of the Chinese have done this, and these are all signs adding up to here we're at 2018, and we already have Iran backing out of the dollar here, trying to encourage their other countries to use other things instead of the American dollar. We've had talk from China, talk from Russia. So we know that the dollar is unstable. This is why I tell everyone, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, you guys really need to make sure you're backing your 401ks, your IRAs, back it in gold, back it in Bitcoin. These are things that Noble Gold offers, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, we offer alternative investments. And that's why when you go to the major networks, you'll see them focused on your typical funds, and they won't talk about precious metals or cryptocurrencies in your IRA because that's where they make their money. But I think if you look at the real wealthy investors right now, is they're pulling money out, they're taking their profit, and they're saying, wow, you know what, I got lucky, I got this huge windfall over the last, let's be honest, 9-10 years, which is a huge bull market run, and they're taking some of that money off the table. And really, there is no profit until you do that. And so people say, oh, everything's fine, my 401ks, my IRAs. But if you don't move into other assets, it's not fine. If your funds drop 30, 40%, 50%, you lost that value. All that gains that you've had over the last 10 years are gone. So what we do is we tell people, let's look at some of the options. Let's look at gold and silver. They're not even reporting gold and silver is up 11% since last year. No one's even talking about that. So I think if people could move out of the stock market right now, make 11% in a year safely, I think most people would think that's a good way to do it. Cryptos are obviously it's a much more volatile investment. If you invested in 10,000 in Bitcoin in an IRA 2 years ago, your 10,000 is 315,000 today. So that's a skyrocket number, but it's much more risky. But for your typical investor that's looking for a safe haven, gold and silver is much more stable. And we really talk about that. We sent you out our free ebook. This ebook, if people, it's free. It was written by an economist, John Williams, and basically this ebook talks about our debt. The government every year comes out with what our liabilities are. And so in February, they come out with a report, and our economist, John Williams, we teamed up, and it shows that our debt in this country, beyond what we can pay, is $107 trillion.
Wow, and it just keeps going up.
Just keeps going up. And really what John Williams says, to kind of summarize, but everyone can get this free book, is that there's only 4 ways that we can get out of it. Either we cut Social Security, Medicare, we figure out a way to cut some of our typical spending in other areas, we print money, or the dire situation would be declare bankruptcy. Those are really our 4 ways to get out of this tremendous debt, because the economy right now, for us to pay off $107 trillion, our economy would have to grow by 6 times, and it's not going to happen. So how is it going to happen? Eventually, are China and India and all these countries, and Russia that we loan money to, are they going to eventually call in that bet, that loan, and say, we're sick of this, we're sick of you guys being in this tremendous debt? And what's going to happen when that happens? Can we pay back $107 trillion? I don't think so, Lisa. So I think people need to keep their eyes open.
Absolutely. And that's why I like bringing you guys on, but it's so true. Like, I mean, to be at that debt, it's not a question, and I say this often, but I mean it. It's not a question of if it's going to happen, but when. And all the investors, all the people who are watching it can see this. Let me share just some facts of what happened in the economy in 2017, just last year, right? So there was around 8,000 retail stores that closed last year. The number of retailers that filed for bankruptcy has surpassed the total for the entire year of 2016. That's huge. And this is just comparing. Restaurants are experiencing some of the toughest times since they've opened. Also, we have, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, not a single person is employed in nearly 1 out of every 5 U.S. families. U.S. government revenues just suffered their biggest drop since the last recession. At this point, most U.S. consumers are completely tapped out. And CNN even put out a report, and I'm referencing some notes here, but 6 out of every 10 Americans do not have enough money saved to cover even a $500 emergency expense. That's just the tip of the iceberg, and the list is bigger than that. But we also have, like you were saying off before we got on even here, we have the feds raising interest rates, and right. They've talked about it, what you said, 4 times?
They're going to raise interest rates 4 times this year. Last time they did that was 2008. And so what you see is that people don't realize that this country is fueled by debt. And so every big corporation has loans out there on something, commercial equipment, commercial property. When those interest rates go up, they get affected by that dramatically. It cuts into what they can pay for the debt. And so when the Fed says they're going to raise interest rates 4 times this year, it's telling major investors, it's telling hedge funds, it's telling the banks, now's the time. You got to move away from your equities and you got to look at other investments. For the average American, maybe they're not seeing that, but that's what they're telling people. They are telling you that interest rates are going to go up, housing prices are going to fall, and typically when you see housing prices fall, you see the dollar fall, you see equities fall. So they're giving you a 12-month warning and letting you know about that. And we saw it last month in February. February, the Dow had the biggest drop it's had in 8 years. It dropped 666 points in one day on February 2nd. So they're telling you that the correction is going to happen, Is it going to happen in a month or 2 months? JP Morgan co-president said he doesn't know when it's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. So I think the writing is there. I think people just need to realize that those accounts that they have, their retirement accounts, they can take control of them, whether they do something with us or if they just diversify into something else. I think it's important that you look at your accounts, you look at your 401k, you look at your IRAs, and you decide if being where you are right now is the smartest move. And that's really what we do. Is when people call in, they get educated about that. We talk about the options that we have, but we just talk about the markets. And I think people, when they call in, they realize that they do decide to do gold. Our staff does all the paperwork. It's very easy. The rollover for an IRA, it typically takes 5 to 7 days. We have all streamlined staff. We'll call the custodian. We've done all that. We'll do all the work if you do want to do it with us. But if you just want to get some information from us, we'll offer that too. And I think all the representatives, that anyone that picks up the phone here is going to be friendly, easy to talk to. We're not a high pressure organization. People feel good when they call here, and a lot of people that you've referred, people saw us here. They've talked about you and they've mentioned their service. They've given us reviews. So I think we take the relationship really important. That's really the most important thing for everybody that works here, from Charles and I. And it's a family business. So everybody here, it's all somehow everyone's related or works here. So people like that family approach.
Awesome. And that's, again, and it's not, pushing a product. It's, I am trying to open up eyes out there. And I've purposely partnered with you guys. I'm very specific about who I partner with because I see what's happening in the economy. I see what's going on. And that's why I do the reports that I do, to bring that to light. And sometimes, I'll be honest, the average person can get so stagnant. We've heard it a million times before. They always say this is going to happen. And we do. We get in this, yeah, it's old news, but it's not old news. It's just warning after warning. And so we can't let ourselves fall into that pattern. It's very easy to do, but just make sure you don't have all your ducks in one pocket, so to speak. I don't know if that's a term. It's just a made up term, right?
I think I know what you're saying. I'm pretty.
All your ducks that are in the same spot. I don't know. There might be a better term, but anyhow, just make sure you're splitting your assets up, and especially don't back it by the dollar. It's instability. If you can get your 401ks, your 401ks converted to a Roth IRA and have that gold backing or Bitcoin backing, I highly recommend it. But with that, hopefully, leave just the website information for me, if you will.
Yeah, Noble Gold Investments. Also, I will tell people our phone lines are answered 24 hours a day. So anyone can call anytime they're watching this video. The phone number is 877-646-5347. And if we're not available at that time, someone will take a message live. You just want to make sure you tell them that Lisa Haven sent you over, because we do have a lot of promotions going on right now. So I want definitely make sure you mention Lisa Haven when you call in. But anytime you call in, whether you get information on gold, our report about the economy, or if you just want to learn about cryptocurrencies, we have a free guide that explains what the blockchain is. It explains what Bitcoin is, how it started. A real layman's book that simplifies everything. So if you just want to get that information because you're hearing everything on the news and you want to know about it, give us a call. And all those ebooks are free to Lisa Haven listeners.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on the broadcast. I appreciate it and giving us the latest on what's going on in the economy. So thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Anyhow, well, thanks again for tuning into my channel here. This is Lisa Haven and Colin Plume signing out.